Hello, students. Do you love drinking coffee while sitting at your computer? Here's a useful piece of advice for you. A good programmer spills coffee on themselves. The laptop stays intact, and it energizes you twice as effectively. Well, let's continue. It seems to me that the asteroids are dying too quickly. They shouldn't disappear with a single shot. Let's give them some durability. We need to make sure that each individual asteroid has its own unique life. Each time it's hit, a portion of its life should be taken away. When life reaches zero, then the asteroid can disappear, with a clear conscience. We can't do this without a variable. Let's select the base. In the object settings, create a new variable of type integer. We use integers because we'll be working with whole numbers. Let's name the new variable, rock life, and set the default value to 3. This means the asteroid will appear with a durability of 3 units. Each hit will deduct 1 unit from its life. When there are no units left, we'll remove it. Which branch do we need? That's right, the rock collision branch. This is where we check for plasma hitting the asteroid. And here we'll also remove the asteroid. Move the last 2 blocks to the right. So, once again, this block registers hits on the asteroid. And now, we shouldn't remove the asteroid, but subtract 1 from the rock life variable. For this, we need the set object property block. You've probably already guessed which property we'll change and what value we'll change it to. Of course, we'll reduce it by 1. Get the getObject property block, specify a variable rock life. We'll also need a math block. Place it immediately after getProperty. And subtract 1 by setting the block to subtraction mode. Now, after each hit, we need to check what the life is. Because life may already be 0. And it's time for the asteroid to rest in peace. So, we need to compare the current state of the rock life variable with 0. Let's get the gate block for this purpose. Place it immediately after changing the variable. For comparison, copy the getObject property block and connect it to the first channel. In the second channel, connect a new integer block and enter the value 1. As the comparison operator, let's choose less. And here's the result. Now you can't just destroy the asteroid easily. You need to hit it 3 times. Well, now let's polish this with an explosion. Add a plane. Rename it to Rock Explosion. Go to the shader editor and create a new material, which you can also name Rock Explosion. As usual, replace the regular shader with the Armory PBR block. In the Assets folder, find the explosion_01 tileset file and drag it into the shader editor. As always, set the occlusion to 0, roughness and emission to 1. Go to the UV Editing tab. Double-check the 2D cursor. It should be in the upper left corner. Since our tileset has a 5x5 grid, you can scale the UV unwrap along both axes immediately. Select everything, press S, 0.2, and press Enter. Go back to the layout. In the material settings, switch the blend mode option to alpha clip and connect the alpha output from the texture block to the opacity channel. Let's add a new tileset right away. In the material settings, find the Armory tileset section and add a new one. Rename it to Rock Explosion. Specify a grid of 5x5. Leave the frame rate at 10 for now. Create a new action. Name it Rock Explosion as well. Set the animation length from frame 0 to 24. We don't need the loop checkbox this time. Now, we need to go to the object properties. In the Armory Props section, in the Tileset field, choose the new tileset, named Rock Explosion. Next, in the Action field, do the same. Let's also immediately disable default spawning for this object. To do this, in the Object Properties, in the Armory Props section, remove the Spawn checkbox. Now we need to go to the Logic Node Editor. Open the Rock Collision branch. Now, before destroying the asteroid, we need to spawn an explosion in its place. We'll do this using the Spawn Object by Name block. Specify the scene and the object name Rock Explosion for the explosion. The explosion won't have any child objects, so uncheck the children option. Now we need to specify the coordinates for the spawn. Get them using the getObjectTransform block. Leave the object field empty. This means we will get the coordinates of the object rock base, because this logical branch is specifically tied to it. Let's launch the game and check how everything works. The first thing that catches the eye is the size of the explosion. I would make it larger. Also, we should increase the animation speed. And the last thing that is jarring is that the explosion should be on the top layer, so that it doesn't overlap with other asteroids. Let's go back to the layout. Increase the plane with the explosion by 1.5 or 2 times. Don't forget to apply the scale. Next, in the Material Properties, let's select Tileset, Rock Explosion, and increase the frame rate to 25. And finally, we need to set the coordinate on the z-axis higher than that of the asteroids. First, select the plane with explosion and simply move it higher. You can also set a fixed value for the layer with explosions in the right panel. The asteroids, ship, and plasma are at a height of 0.3. And explosions and other VFX can be placed at a height of 0.4. Now, after we have obtained coordinates for spawning, we need to separate the z-axis and pass a different value to it. The getTransform block is no longer needed. It returns all transformations at once: rotation, position, and scale. And now, we need to get them separately. For this, we create 3 blocks: getObjectLocation, getObjectRotation, and getObjectScale. All 3 blocks are connected to the transform block. Now we need to separate the information from the getLocation block into 3 separate axes. Let's add 2 more blocks. Separate X and Y, and vector. Connect the X and Y channels, as we need these values specifically. As for the z-axis value, we will specify it manually. Let's input 0.4 there. Now the height for the explosions will be higher than for other objects. By the way, let's do the same for the sparks that appear when plasma hits an asteroid. This can be done in just 2 clicks. Select this group of nodes, copy it with Ctrl+C. Go to the Plasma Collision branch, press Ctrl+V, and connect this group to the transform block. You can now delete the old getTransform block. All that's left is to remove the explosion from the game after the animation finishes. For this, we need to create a new logical branch. Let's call it Rock Explosion. Attach it to the explosion right away. It's simple. After the explosion appears, we will start the animation, and after the animation is finished, we will remove the explosion. We need 3 blocks. On init, play tilesheet, and remove object. Specify the action's name and uncheck unnecessary checkboxes. The done output will send a control signal to the next block immediately after the animation ends. Don't confuse these 2 outputs. Let's run the game and make sure everything looks good now. Now you can take a break. Goodbye for now.